All right, so you can see the page here, commonsensecapitalism.com, and you have the economist, philosopher Thomas Sowell. He's having a dialogue with, I don't know who the woman is, but I'm just going to play this. It's a 4-minute video of pure wisdom.
Well, I think that your notion of parents having a choice overlooks the tremendous degree of family disorientation which exists in all communities, including the black community.
Single mother families, a single mother has the same incentive to send her kid to the best school she can get him into as any other parent.
There are, of course, many children, particularly of high school age, who are totally disassociated from their parents.
That's true. I think that would be a considerably less than half, too, to use your phrase.
I would like to, for a moment, ask you some questions about the economics of job getting in terms of the blacks versus the whites. The statistics I was able to pull together indicate that at the present time white males make $17,427 on an average basis for the year. Black males make $12,738. White females make $10,244, and black females make $9,476. It is clear from these figures, as indeed I think it's clear to most of us from what we see, that there is a discrimination against blacks and against women.
Now, again, before we get to his awesome response, again, notice what she did. She looked at end result and determined that the end result isn't equal. Therefore, there must be discrimination. Those numbers is just total bottom line numbers of amount of money worked. It doesn't take into account skill. It doesn't take into account hours worked. It's just a simple number. It's just a number with void of context. And he's going to talk about that.
In our present system, since not all blacks will be superior, how would you try to even that out so that there would be some equality of job opportunities?
I'm sorry you missed the earlier part of the program when I pointed out that where you find people not represented evenly, that does not show the institutional effect, because almost nowhere in human affairs do you find people evenly represented. If you compare comparable people with respect to age, with respect to education, etc., you get a totally different picture, both with respect to blacks and women. Now, the figures that I saw, for example, show more recently that if you take black families where the husband and wife are both college educated and compare them to a white family where the husband and wife are both college educated, the black family is now earning $2,000 a year more. The problem is that very few blacks fall in that category. That when you compare category for category, then we're talking about getting people a decent education. I'm saying that you cannot say that numbers collected at the employer's place of business reflect simply the employer's policies. Those numbers reflect underlying conditions in the whole society, just as numbers collected at a hospital do not show you that the people are sick because they're in the hospital.
I think that's a very good example, because what he's saying is just looking at a whole overall number, and with the example of the hospital, you can't just say, this hospital had X amount of visitors, therefore they automatically had X amount of people sick. Now, common sense would tell you, no, it doesn't work that way. But what he's saying is, again, she asked him a loaded question with an assumption. The assumption is, there is discrimination, how do you plan on fixing it, or what's your suggestion? And what he's saying is, if you account for all these different things, the numbers drastically change. And what he was saying is that if black people and white people, because that's the example she gave, he said, for example, if they did the same thing, if they both were college educated and they both got married, and you compared the black couple to the white couple, the black people would actually be making more. The problem is, since a lot of black people aren't college educated and getting married, then you have more uneducated people and unmarried people, then it changes the demographic, but not because of discrimination, but because of choice, but because of other pitfalls or anything else. So what he's saying is that you don't go by the end result and say, hey, we need to try to determine where the discrimination is. It's kind of like, well, you look at the most successful people and you imitate what the most successful people do if you want to raise, and improve overall society. That's what you do. So um, blacks can get to, in this example here, blacks can get to where that pretty decent off white couple is by being married and being college educated. So that's what you focus on. Hey, you get married, you get college educated, your chances of climbing up the ladder increase dramatically. So it's about, you can change things in your life to make you more successful rather than looking at unequal outcome and automatically assuming injustice.
No, I would agree with that, but you would also have to agree that generally speaking, women are paid less, for example, for the same jobs as men.
No, I would not. I would not agree with that. If you're talking about women with the same number of years of experience, with the same continuous service, etc., then when I look at that, I don't find that disparity. I find, for example, in many cases, the women are making more.
I'm going to stop there because that's another thing. It's not only enough to really, like, when it comes to discrimination, which is a serious thing, statistics, they don't show how many of those people work consistently year after year, building up tenure or whatever you want to call it, versus people who work sporadically. And as a result of them working sporadic, male or female, anyone, old, young, male, female, whatever, the people who don't work consistently. For women's case, it could be that they stop, and he's going to say this, they may stop working because they're having children. So if they go back into the workforce, they're going to be behind career-wise men who didn't have to take off work to have kids. The men worked nonstop, and they continue to get raises and to gain positions and stuff. Whereas the women, if they take off 2 years because of their kid, they don't have that. So as a result, they're going to be behind so-called, career-wise.
Depending on how you break the data down. The difference with women is between married women and everybody else. That's the real difference.
Well, even as to single women, the Census Bureau statistics, the most recent ones I could find, 1978, say that single men are earning $11,100 and single women are earning $9,300.
Yes, I love the word single that is used. When I did my study, I didn't use single, I used never married. You see, a woman who is single at age 40, having spent 10 or 20 years raising children, is really not quite the same as a man at age 40 who's been working continuously for 20 years.
And the differential she cited is not that great, so it could easily be accounted for by the
Yes, because when I break them down the other way, I did this for the academic world, and there I found the women who are never married, which is the term the way I take it, there they were earning more than the men. And similarly, when the government did data some years ago on women who had been working continuously since high school into their 30s, there you found that they were making slightly more than men of the same description. So the difference is between married women and everybody else. And married men get an extra bonus because their wives take care of many things that enable them to put more time into their careers.
All right, so just to wrap this up, this section here, what he's saying is he's trying to account for human decision that would affect income, which is he's going several steps further than what a lot of these studies really do. Like, think about what he's saying and what the woman said. The woman just looked at the bottom line pay, and the man, Thomas, he looked at personal choice. He looked at other factors, contributing factors that would have an effect on the data, and that's the approach to take when looking at statistics. You can't just look at a bottom line number. You have to look at the study itself to see who they tested and what assumptions did they have when they started their test or their study or whatever. And you have to think about all the things that is not being accounted for to give you a better sense of just the study in general. So we're going to take a look at a study regarding discrimination in the next section, and that's exactly what we're going to do, because the study itself actually tells you where its flaws are, which is why I chose it.